Hey, it's Gabriela Batista from Homes into Reality, and this is Real Estate by the Numbers for Toronto for June 2022. As always, we're going to start with the average home prices in Toronto. For June, detached, you're at about 1.73. Semis, you're at 1.34. Townhouses, you're just over $900,000. And condos, you're at $770,000. So what does it all mean when it comes to year-over-year changes? I feel like there's two stories to be told. If we look at detached and semi-detached homes, detached are 2.2% up, and then semis are 6% up. If you look at past Real Estate by the Numbers, these numbers tend to be a lot higher than these little lower numbers, and that'll be explained more in the changes in the market that we're experiencing right now. But they're up, a smaller increase over this time last year. But when we look at townhouses and condos, they're up a bigger chunk. Townhouses are up 11.8% and condos are up 7.5%. So the way I'm seeing that is your starter homes are still appreciating year over year, stronger than a detached or a semi-detached home, which was a different story, let's say 6 months ago. It's a whole different story if we're looking at month over month changes. Detached homes were down almost 2.3%. Semis were down about 5.8%. Townhouses were just over down 2%. And for condos, we're at about 2.75% down. So everything's down month over month in the shifting market. Prices are adjusting, and we'll kind of go into details why. But it does have a similar framework to year-over-year changes. Because if we look at townhouses and condos, they've gone down, but not as significantly as, let's say, a detached or a semi. So a lot of your starter homes and your entry-level price points, they haven't been as negatively affected as, let's say, a detached home or a semi-detached home. A lot of that has to do is, you see more townhouses and condos in the core of Toronto, which has actually done fairly well during the shift. And, detached homes and semi-detached homes are more in your suburbs of Toronto. And those pockets have been more negatively affected than, let's say, the core. And the reason why I think there's kind of two different stories when it comes to the Toronto real estate market, at least in the shifting market right now, is I think there's still motivation with people who want to get into the market, your first-time buyers. A lot of people acknowledge that life happens. You get married, you have kids, you want to get into your first house. And a lot of people they don't want to rent and they want to get into the buying market when they can. And their goal isn't to leave the property in a year or 2 years. They have goals to stay at a property, let's say 5 or 6 years. And then for those entry-level price points, people are okay, to buy in any market because life happens. When it comes to a detached home or a semi-detached home, they may be more negatively affected because people don't have to move right away. The motivation isn't there for a lot of people to buy or to upgrade if they already have a home there. So that's why I'm seeing two different markets. And that's why it's so interesting for me working with a lot of first-time buyers and entry-level price points, that the market still feels like it's shifted, but it's still been advantageous for a lot of people who want to get in the market. So if we look at new listing and active listings, it's a very, very similar story to the past 2 months that we've seen on Real Estate by the Numbers. New listings are somewhat down compared to last year. So they're down 6.2%, but the active listings are up 22.6%. So the idea that new listings have still gone down, but active listings have gone up, it shows that there's a pileup of new inventory coming in the market, more options for buyers to choose from. Properties are selling a little bit slower than they were a few months ago. So there definitely is more choice for people, and there's more properties that aren't selling initially, and they're taking some time, they're sitting in the market before eventually finding their buyer. If we look at sold activity, this one's really interesting. Activity is down. It's the same way as last month, but activity is pretty significantly down 37% compared to last year in June. June, the summer markets tend to be a little bit slower than, let's say, your spring market in terms of how many units are selling. But if you still look year over year, it's down pretty significantly. So there definitely is a buyer setback or a buyer hesitation when it comes to people getting into the market. So that's something that's really important to look. Average days on market, it's a little bit up compared to last year. Again, it is a slower market. I'm a bit surprised by 16 days on market. I thought it would be something a little bit higher, but it definitely is taking longer to sell homes than it did last month or last year. So now the real question is, what am I looking out for when it comes to watching the market in the future? I'd say the same things as probably last month. The big thing I'm looking at right now is the July 13th interest rate hike. We're pretty sure that it's going to be going up. How much, we don't know yet. I'd probably get 75 basis points based off what I'm reading right now. But we want to keep an eye on that type of stuff because that's the key number right now that's affecting affordability. When interest rates go up, prices, they may adjust a little bit, but your affordability goes down. So you may be able to afford, let's say, $900K at one point, and when interest rates go up, you're now able to afford $800K. So although prices do change, it's also affecting how much you can afford to get into your next home. That's what I'm thinking of when it comes to buyers. But when it comes to sellers, a lot of people are in a situation where they have to move, and that's always going to happen. Life happens. And what I'm telling my clients who are in that situation is, the best thing to do in a shifting market is price ahead of the market and really dig down on comparables and get an understanding what your market's like. So what I've been particularly doing with clients who are getting ready to sell is I'm digging down in specifics in their neighborhood. And you want to be the best price, best showing, best looking property on the market. So there's things that we can do to get you in that place. And, we don't want to be one of those properties that are just sitting in the market and waiting with no showings. But that's my thoughts when it comes to selling your next property. With all that being said, that's Real Estate by the Numbers in Toronto for June. I'll be doing this again next month. And if you have any questions, my contact's always open. These type of videos are here to educate and do my best to kind of let you know what's going on in the Toronto market. But when it comes to particulars in your situation, it's always useful to dig down deeper in getting a better sense of the particulars. Whatever I can do to be helpful and be a resource to you in your real estate journey, no matter what that is, I'm happy to talk about it and set up a time to talk. Either way, enjoy the rest of your June, and June's gone. Enjoy the rest of your July, and take care as always, and stay productive as always. Bye.